Let's start with the topic of brand extension. When a brand is doing well in the market, right, and it's got a lot of market share and consumers know about the brand, it's time to milk the brand even further. मतलब और पैसा कमाना है. And in that case, what does a brand do is launch a new brand in the same product category or a new category. This whole exercise is called brand extension. Let me give you a classic example behind this. Cadbury Dairy Milk launched Cadbury Dairy Milk Silk. Coke launched Diet Coke and Coke Zero. Why go very far? McDonald's launched McDonald's Cafe. And the most recent, Zepto launched Zepto Cafe. Now these are classic examples of brands realizing that they have built so much equity that they can launch something new and consumers will adopt it. There are several more examples. For example, Dove, which came with cream, now has a shampoo, has a deodorant, has a body cream. Let's get into the alcohol category. Kingfisher beer itself has so many variants. It has Kingfisher Ultra and the new variants that they launched in India recently. Well, brand extension is of two types, line extension and category extension. Let's talk about line extension. When the brand launches a new product in the same product category, as in the same line, it's called a line extension. That means they play around with a variant or flavor or a variety of the existing brand altogether. An example in this case could be Cadbury Dairy Milk launching Dairy Milk Silk and many other variants like Red Velvet Oreo Chocolate. Another example, Appy launching Appy Fizz. If we talk about confectionery more, 5-Star came out with 5-Star 3D. All confectioneries playing in the same confectionery line. And another example is of the iPhone. iPhone has many variants. The standard iPhone, a Plus variant, a Pro and a Pro Plus variant. All that you see are extensions in the same line. Well, line extensions make a lot of sense because consumers already relate to the brand in a certain particular line. So the acceptance becomes easier. Now moving on to the next type, that is category extension. Now these are new markets and new waters that the brand is testing. Let me give you a classic example. Apple went from computers to MacBooks to launching a smartphone and even an Apple Watch. All different product categories altogether. Another example could be of Samsung, which sells televisions and smartphones, two different categories. Micromax, an Indian brand, started with smartphones and today they are also selling televisions. All new product categories. Well, a category extension is tempting because you're entering a new market which may open new profit pools for you. It may also have a backfire, which I'll talk about later. Category extensions could be the ultimate game. Look at Apple, for example. There are so many different categories of products that they have, and now people are waiting. What is the next big category they will venture into? Let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of brand extensions. Let's start with the advantages. The very first advantage is you're going to make more money by entering new segments, as we saw in the case of Apple. The second advantage, revitalize an old brand. Sometimes a brand is 50 years old and it becomes boring in front of the audience. In order to make it look fresh and revitalized, these brands launch extensions. The best example in this case could be Old Spice, which was an aftershave brand getting into deodorants and other categories. Third, the market entry risk is very less, especially in the case of line extension. Consumers already know the brand. So when a new brand enters the market, it is accepted easily. In the case of Cadbury and all the extensions that they have. Next advantage, at number 4, efficiency in packaging and promotion. All of Apple products are packaged in the same white box. Why go further? Cadbury again in their purple packaging, so promotion becomes easier. And number 5, efficiency in distribution. When Coke is distributed in one particular line, even Diet Coke and Coke Zero are pushed in the same line. So distribution also becomes very, very easy. And moving on to the disadvantages of brand extension. The number 1 disadvantage is, इतना सारा product निकाल दिया है, consumers may get confused. Look at Samsung phones. There are so many variants and extensions. It can be very confusing for consumers to choose a particular brand. The next disadvantage, and this is a big one, retailers काफी irritate हो जाते हैं product stock कर करके. Obviously, retailers, shops, they have their own limitations in terms of size. When someone like a Head & Shoulder comes and announces 10 variants of a shampoo, it becomes irritating to stock all of them because the retailer is very sure कि ये सब बिकने वाला नहीं. Out of these 2-3 are fast-moving shampoo brands, but the other variants may not sell. So retailer resistance could be a problem. Number 3, sometimes the extended brand may hurt the sale of the parent brand here. Coke ने निकाला Diet Coke और Coke Zero, right? Diet Coke and Coke Zero is all about saving on calories and sugar altogether. So when they launched, I'm not saying कि Coke का sale गिर गया, but Coke का जो growth था वो काफी कम हो गया. So it may hurt the parent brand in certain ways. The final disadvantage is the brand extension may fail and hurt the sales of the parent brand. Did you know Pond's actually came out with Pond's toothpaste way back in the day? And people could not relate with the cream that we apply on our skin, launching a particular product that goes in our mouth altogether. And it fails miserably and also briefly affected the sales of Pond's. Thus, long story short, not all brand extensions do well, although it's very tempting to get in the category. Legacy brands have failed sometimes. For example, Fruity came out with Fruity Fizz. They thought they'll replicate their other brand success story like Happy Fizz, but Fruity Fizz tanked. Another classic example could be Pepsi launching Pepsi Atom way back in the day, and Pepsi Atom failing. Well, that's it. That brings an end to the topic of brand extension. I hope you've learned many new examples in this video and the concept of brand extension. Thank you and easy a day.